And I was the medical provider at the base there in Kabul, in the northeast, at the capital of Afghanistan, the northeastern portion. I'm doing 6, 7, and 8 5-minute rounds at a time right now, and I feel good. So but I got 2 more weeks still. I feel like 3 5-minute rounds shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
I'll say this: the kid that I'm fighting, he hasn't had one fight out of 8 or 9 pro fights that's gone past the first round, either way, win or loss. So we'll definitely see something happen.
That's definitely fit for you right there. That's definitely styles makes fights, and it's the way you come forward, and this kid obviously looks like he comes forward. That's gonna be awesome. Now you were mentioning earlier to us how you had your deployment, and you mentioned how you were injured in that earlier to me.
Yeah. So when I was in Afghanistan, so what I did, I was a surgeon. So which didn't really mean surgery; it just meant I was the medical provider at the base there in Kabul, in the northeast, at the capital of Afghanistan, the northeastern portion. And after I'd been there, it was a month or so in, I was every morning we had to give presentations to the command team as far as like our medical readiness and what all was going on with us. And it got to where I was really struggling to read PowerPoints, and I got to where my right eye would it didn't hurt per se, but I just didn't. The vision was getting real blurry. And then I started getting headaches because the vision was blurry. And so turned out I got some weird parasite from, we think, from maybe the dirt over there. We don't know. It's one of those things you can never really tell where you got it from. But it's something that lives in dirt and can get kicked up in the wind and whatnot. But so I spent almost 5 or 6 weeks in Germany at Ramstein at the medical hospital there, and then transferred back home after that. And so I've got a permanent blind spot in my right eye, but doesn't really interfere with anything. I've got a left eye dominant now, but it changed some things, changed my perspective, how I hold my head movement's a little bit different. But yeah, it was a different. It taught me patience. I can tell you that. Being in a military hospital in Germany with no internet and no TV and everything else for that long, like I was ready to go crazy. But it definitely caused me to sit down and write in a journal and read some books and kind of get some focus on what I was going to do when I came back to the States.
Yeah. Now, has that affected anything you're doing with like your training? Have you had to adapt to that?
It probably in a way helped me because of where it's at. I've got good overlap in my vision. I mean, and my vision all the way around that blind spot is 20/20 on both sides. I've got great vision, but it's you keep your hands up, right?
Yep.
And it's definitely caused me to work on my defensive perspective. Now you're going to see me, like when I get at range, I get outside the range, I'm real notorious about dropping my hands and kind of moving and just kind of getting relaxed.
Yeah.
But then as I get in close, I'll cover back up. And I feel real comfortable there. I feel real comfortable covering up and encountering people. But it did probably cause me to do that a little bit, but nothing too bad.
And you know what people don't get, like a lot of people overthink fighting, when they're starting out or injured or whatever. A lot of people I see overthink fighting. Fighting in a lot of sense is fighting blind. Like the punch that knocks you out ain't the one you see. The punch that knocks you out is the one you didn't see. And a lot of times you got to feel that punch. That's how the greats, were great. They felt that, and a lot of that's in body movement. Like when we're up close in the clinch, like wrestling, you're feeling it. You're feeling where he's moving. You're feeling where he's shifting. You feel, or you feel him pull out. And a lot of people, when they feel that body pull out, they're not ready for that punch. They don't think of anything coming. They're just like, oh, okay, we get the release out. And that's where
our fight gym, especially, we're notorious about that. When we break position to throw a strike,
absolutely.
break clinch, you come up off the ground. If there's a positional change, you're going to see us throw a strike of some sort, typically, if we're thinking in it, and that's because of repetition, the way our coach thinks, and you're absolutely right, man. It plays a huge role.
And you know, it's funny you said it made me learn patience and made me do defense, because I always tell people the worst thing for a fighter to know, and you said it earlier, and I'm gonna bring back something you said, and I always tell people the worst thing a fighter can know is he can take one hell of an ass whooping, because then you know you're always in the fight, because this thing right here is that, okay, I can take it, and then you don't think of this. You don't think of catching. You don't think of moving. You just think, okay, I can take it. You know. And
well, and you know, my coach is actually just going back to that solo fight when he beat me up when I was cut up real bad. You know, my coach, he used that example all the time about the one fight he's coached for 15 years. That one time he almost threw a towel in. You know, and I look back at it, and that fight didn't hurt. I was cut up. Don't get me wrong. I was bleeding like a sieve, but it didn't hurt. And man, it's just I'm a big proponent of high school kids and college wrestling, and honestly, that's what did it all. A good buddy of mine is the head coach at NEO, Joe Renfro, and he's their head wrestling coach. Now he's the athletic director. He's one of the greatest dudes I've ever met in my life. But he and my high school coaches got me to where I can honestly say I'm a doctor and I'm a fighter because of them and because of the mindset that they instilled. And you're right, and it scares family, it scares others, because they know, and it's kind of cliche, but like, I'm going to keep coming forward. You're going to be hard pressed to get me to stop or tap or anything else. But on the flip side of it, kind of like you've alluded to, being a doctor and everything else, I got other things I have to think about. So the defensive side has definitely come up, and I've gotten more comfortable feeling that. And it changes your perspective a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was when I started. When I started boxing, I knew I could take a punch. You know, like, and I was like, man, because I was getting, you know, dudes the size of this door frame over here. You know, they're like 6'5" on up fighting boxing heavyweights. And so I got dudes that have hands that look like this, you know, punching me in the face, look like canned hams, you know. And I was like, okay, you can take this. And then my coach, Mo goes, we got two options here, man. He goes, you can either make it in this business or you can be done in 2 years. he goes, all right, let's start working on that hand movement. And like you know, and people don't get, there's so many transitions in fighting, like levels. Like, just because you're a good amateur fighter don't mean you're going to be a great pro fighter.
Absolutely.
And just because they were a crappy amateur fighter doesn't mean they weren't going to be a great pro fighter. You know, because like me, I was a horrible amateur in boxing, because boxing's so petty on scoring. You know, if you just touch them with the white part of the glove, and like that wasn't me. I fought like James Toney. I was here taking them off the shoulder, so I lost so many points just by my defense. And that's what else I get with people. You know, people don't get transitions of the level of the game, and to get in there, like I always told people, even if you're an amateur, spar with the pros. Get that pro mentality. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to get that amateur mentality, because you're not always going to be there. You know, you're not. There's so many rules in amateurs that protect you than they do in the pros.
You know, you're absolutely right. You know, and I was able to, as an amateur, I walked through a lot of folks because of my wrestling and my ground game, and even high-level jiu-jitsu guys. I'm kind of like Tony Ferguson in the anti-jiu-jitsu. I'm not looking to submit anybody. I will if it's there, don't get me wrong, but my wrestling and my hips are so good, I can stop